like a 3-minute heads up.
Sure.
Minister Tassi will give remarks in English, Minister Garneau in French, and then they can take your questions, okay? Awesome.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Tassi will give the English statement, Garneau will give a French statement, and then we'll do questions. That makes sense. We're good to see you. No, that was the Randy White Mariachi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very pleased to be here with my colleague Marc Garneau. I'll provide some comments in English, and then Minister Garneau will provide some in French. So we're very happy to be here this afternoon, and you know, to see that the parties, CN and the Teamsters, have come to an agreement. They have worked very, very hard at these negotiations, and we're grateful for their hard work. As a government, we supported those negotiations with federal mediation, and we had our mediation team there, headed up by our chief mediator, Peter Simpson, who did a fantastic job. But really, this is a day to commend the parties at the table who worked extremely hard, and our government believes in collective bargaining. We know these negotiations are very, very important. At that table, they know what is sacred to them and what they don't want to give up, and they also know where they can be flexible. And both parties expressed to us as we went through this process a sincere commitment to wanting to reach an agreement, which is very, very important, together with a commitment to be flexible. And we see through the result, them reaching an agreement that that was in fact the way that they approached it, and we are very, very grateful for that. I want you to know that we realize the impact that this had on Canadians. We heard that across the country. The Prime Minister was engaged, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister Bibeau, and so we are grateful for the patience that Canadians showed. And at the end of the day, we ended up with a result that we are very happy about, and it was the quickest result to a very difficult situation. So again, for us, it's showing great gratitude for the commitment, the dedication of all parties who were able to reach this deal at the table, and look forward to moving forward.
Oui, alors on est très, très heureux que les deux côtés, le CN et les Teamsters, les cheminots, ont conclu une entente aujourd'hui. C'est une très bonne nouvelle pour le Canada. Je les félicite personnellement. On les félicite pour s'être assis, pour résoudre des différences qui étaient importantes, mais ils ont réussi à le faire. Et c'est en se parlant et en continuant de discuter de leurs différences qu'ils ont trouvé une résolution. On les félicite. On croit que c'est la meilleure façon de résoudre les différences entre l'employeur et les syndicats et on a un très bon résultat ici aujourd'hui. On est très conscient que ça a été très difficile pour beaucoup de personnes, incluant les deux côtés, mais également les Canadiens. C'était stressant pour beaucoup de personnes et puis c'est pour ça que c'est une tellement bonne nouvelle aujourd'hui que tout le monde va se remettre au travail et nous allons suivre la reprise du transport ferroviaire avec CN. Vous comprenez que ça ne peut pas se faire en pesant sur un bouton et que ça revienne automatiquement. Ça va prendre quelques jours. C'est très complexe de transporter des biens par train à travers le pays, vers nos ports, vers d'autres destinations. Mais CN s'engage à le faire le plus rapidement possible. On réalise également aussi à quel point ces deux joueurs sont tellement importants pour l'économie de notre pays. Le CN, parce qu'il transporte à peu près 250 milliards de biens à travers le pays par année, et aussi les Teamsters, les cheminots, qui remplissent une fonction qui est absolument critique et essentielle pour notre pays. Ce sont les conducteurs et les gens qui travaillent dans les gares de triage. Alors, encore une fois, on les félicite pour avoir conclu cette entente aujourd'hui. Merci.
M. Garneau, à quel point est-ce que la pression, elle était forte sur vous? On a entendu Québec dire que vous vous traîniez les pieds. On a vu aussi les producteurs agricoles sur le terrain, leur détresse et leur colère.
C'est totalement normal dans des situations quand il y a la possibilité d'une grève que les joueurs qui sont impliqués mettent de la pression, bien sûr, et puis ça fait partie du processus. Alors l'important, c'est de ne pas oublier que l'essentiel, c'est que les deux côtés se parlent et trouvent la solution. Et c'est un processus qui est complètement normal et éventuellement, chaque côté fait des compromis et trouve une solution. Et c'est ce que les deux côtés ont fait et on a gardé notre calme dans cette chose-là et c'est ça qui est important.
Est-ce que le gouvernement pourrait contribuer à d'éventuelles compensations ou quoi que ce soit pour certains secteurs, que ce soit le secteur agricole? Est-ce que le gouvernement fédéral a un rôle à jouer là-dedans? Est-ce que vous êtes ouvert à des compensations pour certains secteurs?
C'est normal dans un pays où il y a une relation entre un employeur et des syndicats que parfois ils vont avoir des différences et que c'est parfaitement acceptable, ça fait partie d'un processus normal, qu'il va y avoir parfois des rêves et que la négociation collective est la meilleure façon de résoudre ces choses-là. Et ça fait partie de la vie ici au Canada et ça arrive de temps en temps. Et il faut le respecter, il faut vivre avec ça.
Mais là, on parlait de produits essentiels. M. Garneau, on parlait de produits essentiels cette fois-ci. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose que le gouvernement peut faire pour éviter qu'une situation aussi stressante, comme vous l'avez dit, se reproduise? Est-ce qu'on peut changer les lois du travail, par exemple?
Je vais simplement vous dire qu'il y a beaucoup d'industries dans ce pays qui fournissent des services essentiels et des biens qui sont essentiels pour notre pays. Et c'est normal que de temps en temps, il va y avoir des interruptions quand il y a des négociations collectives. Ça fait partie de la vie. Ici, on a certainement réalisé que le CN et les Teamsters jouaient un rôle très, très important dans l'économie de notre pays. Ça s'est fait entendre à travers le pays, mais ça fait aussi partie de la vie ici dans le Canada. Et de temps en temps, c'est normal, ces choses-là vont se produire. L'essentiel, c'est d'essayer de résoudre ça le plus rapidement possible.
The government faced a lot of calls in the last few days to recall Parliament early, bring in back-to-work legislation. How close did your government come to? Did you start planning back-to-work legislation?
Sure. Let me begin by saying if we had implemented that route, we'd be in there right now having discussions and trying to get that legislation through. The way that we proceeded was not only the quickest way, but the best way. We are a government that believes in collective bargaining. We want parties to come together. We were given the assurance throughout this that both parties recognized the impact that this was having on Canadians, had a true commitment and spirit to resolve this, and both were committed to being flexible. So all those things working together, we were optimistic that they would come to resolution, and the resolution that they came to was evidence that, in fact, they were, truthful in terms of how they were approaching it.
So did you tell them you wouldn't go with that route as a way of pressuring them to get a deal?
Our commitment was to continue to speak with the parties to ensure that they were aware of how important this was across the country. And everyone was seeing that. It was on the news every day. More and more people expressing, farmers in all types of sectors, how much this was having an impact on them. And the parties at the table were very aware of that, as was the federal mediator. And so together the commitment was that they would come to a solution, and they did, recognizing what was at stake.
Now, was the rhetoric a little high?
Minister Garneau, you mentioned that you're going to be following the resumption of CN over the next few days. Industry is saying that it's going to take weeks to deal with the backlog, and as you know, winter is about 4 weeks away. Is CN going to have to revise their winter shipping plan, and is there a plan in place to ensure that things don't fall off the rails again, no pun intended, in 4 weeks when winter hits?
So I'll answer that in a second, but I do want to repeat something that Minister Tassi made very, very clear. Had we taken an approach like the previous government of deciding to legislate back to work, we would not have a solution today. Because as quickly as we would have decided to convene Parliament with everything that needs to be done to arrive at, let's say, royal assent for a piece of legislation, we still would not have an agreement today. The result, because of the approach that we took, is that we do have a solution today, and better still, the two sides sat down and mutually agreed to a solution, and that is always a better approach than to use forced legislation. So I just wanted to make that point. CN is a very experienced, large company, and yes, they're very aware of all the goods we need to be moving, whether it's grain out in the west, and they did move some trains, by the way, during the strike, but they're very aware of it. Now, they will get going as quickly as possible, but it's a complex choreography in the sense that you can't have all of the trains going into BC to the port of Vancouver or even the port of Prince Rupert all at the same time. So there has to be a choreography to do it as quickly as possible. And that is exactly what CN has the expertise and the experience to do. So they're very aware of it. And they know that winter is coming, and they know that that means shorter trains going at slower speeds. So they're acutely aware, because the grain farmers out west have a pressing need to get their corn to foreign markets, and they're going to work as quickly as possible to do that. And in terms of the winter plan, I'm sure that given the fact that there's been an interruption of 8 days, and there has to be a ramping back up, that they will submit some amendments to, given that this situation has occurred, to that they will provide a revised winter plan.
And on propane, the reserves, of course, there are none, and winter is coming. Is there any effort from the government to prioritize propane shipments in the next few days to Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes?
I would ask you to ask that question to CN, but CN is very aware of their customers' needs.
On provincial rhetoric, we heard from a couple premiers, we heard some really heated words coming out of the election into this labour dispute. Were those words too strong, or were people representing their needs regionally, do you think? It seemed very, very heated.
It's perfectly legitimate for provincial governments and municipalities and stakeholders and individual Canadians to express their concerns when something like this happens and affects their lives. It certainly makes people aware of the fact that that there are strong concerns that exist at different government levels and at in industry, in the private sector, and at individual people level. In some cases, employees. And so that is fair game. It's something that is going to happen, and everybody has to absorb that when it does happen.
And briefly, do you see the two rail companies as an essential service in this country? Do you see them as an essential service that they should no longer have a labor dispute like this? They should just be forced to deliver services and work out their things through mediation?
What I will say, and I think Canadians realize this, is just how important our railways are in this country. I think that was made very, very clear this week, not only the railways themselves, but their employees, how important the job that they do in moving our goods across this country to the required destinations both inside the country and outside the country. I think it makes people realize just how important they are, and they are incredibly important for the economy of this country. So that's what I'll say.
Vous pouvez expliquer en français, pouvez-vous expliquer comment vous avez effectué de la pression sur les partis comme la loi spéciale était écartée?
Alors, on a eu l'occasion de parler à plusieurs occasions avec les deux côtés, avec les Teamsters et individuellement avec CN. Et notre but, c'était de les encourager à trouver une solution parce qu'on pensait, basé sur les différences, qu'il y avait la possibilité de trouver cette conclusion, que ce n'était pas insurmontable. Et deuxièmement, on leur a fait, bien sûr, savoir, mais ils le savaient déjà, à quel point cela avait un effet sur les Canadiens, sur l'économie, sur la vie des gens, sur le stress que certaines personnes éprouvaient. Et c'était partout dans les médias, c'est vous qui avez rapporté tout ça. Alors, de les encourager fortement à trouver une solution. Et c'est ce qu'ils ont fait et je les félicite.
Propane sur le grain. Est-ce que vous avez exigé des garanties pour qu'il y ait justement peut-être du transport qui soit fait de manière prioritaire, peut-être sur le propane?
Ce n'est pas nécessaire pour nous de faire cela parce que les compagnies de chemin de fer sont ultra conscients des besoins les plus pressants, les plus prioritaires. Ils ont réussi à maintenir un certain niveau durant même la grève. Ils le savent pertinemment et ce n'est pas nécessaire pour nous de leur faire une liste, de leur dresser une liste des produits qu'ils doivent transporter.
Minister, fatigue was one of the key issues in the negotiations here that the union had raised. You looked at the work-rest rules that CN had submitted in the summer. You said that they weren't following science. I'm just curious if you know if fatigue is part of the settlement here and if that's acceptable if there's no change.
So there's a parallel activity that's going on here, and it's one that you alluded to, that, as you know, last year we came out with flight duty day fatigue regulations in the air industry for pilots. And I said at the time that we would do the same because it was important, and the Transportation Safety Board was asking us to do it in the rail industry and also in the marine industry. And so we've started that process with the rail industry. And in the rail industry, your working day and your rest time are regulated by what's called work-rest rules. And that is something that we are actively working not only with the railways, but also with the employees, the unions of the railways, so that we can ensure that we use the best science to establish how long a day and under what conditions and how much rest is required to avoid fatigue. And we're even going to look at fatigue risk management systems such as we have implemented in the air world. So yes, that is being addressed from a safety point of view, and that's a process we started earlier this year, and we will continue to, and both the Teamsters, CN, CP, and other unions are very, very aware of the fact that this is a priority for the government.
What do you make of that recording, the recording where they say fatigue is not a regulatory issue or a safety issue? Is that acceptable to you?
I'm not going to comment on that recording, but you know our views as a government.
Juste sur un autre sujet, Saint-Roch-de-l'Achigan, le projet d'aérodrome sera resoumis par le promoteur avec des révisions. Je me demandais qu'est-ce que vous alliez faire dans cette décision-là, considérant que vous avez bloqué le projet par le passé.
C'est certainement, on l'a bloqué dans le passé, on a expliqué pourquoi. C'est prématuré pour nous de commenter sur ce qui pourrait nous être soumis à l'avenir. Thank you.
Can I just ask you, further to the question that Mr. Garneau answered earlier on terms of essential services, how do you view railways in this country?
I think that what has transpired over the last number of months is an indication of you know, how this impacted Canadians, and I think that has been felt loud and clear, and I think that was apart at the negotiation table, the parties recognized the impact that this was having on Canadians. And it was that recognition, together with the spirit that they went to that table with, which is a spirit of wanting to reach a deal and having flexibility in reaching that deal. So I think all those things came together, and as a result of that, we end up today in a very good place for all Canadians, which is the parties have agreed, and we hope that now this will be ratified by the membership.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Merci.
Thank you.
Hello again, I'm Martin.